after Manishtana, we launch into what we would think is the story of the Exodus from Egypt. Avadim Hayinu, Lefarim Mitzrayim. We were slaves to power in Egypt, and God took us out. And then, instead of launching into the story, the Haggadah then goes into what seems like almost a introduction to everything that follows. We hear about ancient seders that took place, different discussions about what the obligation is of the of the story of the Exodus, who we have to tell it to, what kind of children, etc., etc. One would think that the order would be, first we say all of the preamble stuff, where we explain the obligation, when we have to tell it, to whom we have to tell it, when do we have to remember the Exodus, every day, during the day, at night. Then we go into Manishtana, then we start telling the story, and then we tell the story in a direct and linear way. Instead, we say Manishtana, we go into Avadim Hayinu, and then drop the ball and only come back to the story later in the Haggadah. Rav Soloveitchik suggested that perhaps what is going on here is a dramatic device to fulfill, again, one of the base rock halachic obligations of the Seder, which is to try to get into the mood as if we ourselves were the participants in the Exodus. So therefore, he says, the Avadim Hayinu, the function of this passage, is to give the sense of the excitement as if we were reporting this firsthand, of just kind of blurting out the news. As soon as someone asks us, we were slaves in Egypt, Paro took us out. And then later, kind of as we focus more, then we do it in a more methodical kind of way. But the whole purpose of Avadim Hayinu, of telling the story in kind of telescoped form at the beginning, and then only later doing it in a systematic and fleshed out kind of way, is part of this setting the mood, of being able to feel like, again, if something really exciting had happened to us and someone asked us about it, we would quickly first blurt it out and then only later go back over the details. Soloveitchik said that this, like many other details in the halachic structure of the Seder, is there to help achieve that theme. And it's interesting to note that different communities had different customs to underscore this idea. There were places that would have somebody come in at the beginning of the Seder carrying like a bundle on their back, and when people asked them, who are you? They said, well, I'm leaving Egypt and I'm going to Yerushalayim. And the idea that we have to get into this is not just a cerebral experience, but really a dramatic experience, one that engages all of our senses, that even the text of Avadim Hayinu is supposed to be exactly that kind of experience. And again, interestingly enough, and this is perhaps a theme we'll return to, Avadim Hayinu is very pointedly written in first person, right? We were slaves. This was something that happened to us, right? And again, the part of the parent-child process, right, of telling your children on that day, and this is really what the Psukim of the Torah are talking about, is that we're supposed to communicate this notion within the Seder, and this is something that we have internalized as happening to ourselves. Literally, we were slaves, God set us free, and we're really very excited about that.